All right, so I'm about at the halfway point of cleaning all the adhesive from the old trunk lip off of this trunk. As you can see, this section is clean, and then this section I still have to take everything off. But now that I have cleaned this section and gone ahead and clay barred it and then wet sanded this whole thing and then cut and polished it with a polisher, I wanted to film this clip to kind of show you guys a before and after, because it's actually pretty gnarly. So here we have just like a clean microfiber towel. So check it out. I'm not pushing very hard, and try to listen if you can. I'm gonna turn the volume up when I edit this video, but check it out. Really smooth and soft and loud and rough. Hopefully you guys can hear that. Hopefully I'm not going crazy. And obviously this is nothing new, but clearly this trunk was in need of all of this, in need of a clay bar, a wet sand, and then a cut and polish, because, you know, a ton of stuff seems to have like baked its way into this paint, and just kind of seeing the before and after. In fact, check it out. So I think it's louder with my finger, so check it out one more time. And I am not pushing down any harder at all. Like, I'm just dangling my finger over here. Ready? It's really, really bad. Like, yeah, dude, this, I'm really excited just seeing, or hearing even rather, just how rough the paint is over here and how smooth it is over here. Clearly whatever I'm doing is working. Clearly this is the way to go. So I'm excited to get the rest of the trunk done. I just thought it was kind of fascinating, and I'd show you guys and maybe even remind you that there's a pretty good chance, if you haven't done it in a while, that you got to clay bar your car. You probably have some stuff baked into your paint, so maybe do that soon. But anyways, let's get back into cleaning this trunk so I can get it tossed on the car. Here we go. All right, hopefully you guys thought some of that was pretty vibey, you know, the intro of this video. I hope you enjoyed kind of watching that. Obviously for you guys just watched all those clips, but for me, at the time of making this clip right here, I have yet to edit those clips together, so I don't know how it's going to turn out, so hopefully it was pretty cool. But yeah, if you made it to this point in the video, there's a pretty good chance you probably watched some of my other videos, so I'll say, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. As you saw, I just spent a bunch of time cleaning up what appears to be an E92 trunk, and if that's what you thought, you'd in fact be correct. I was cleaning up an E92 trunk because I'm going to be swapping that trunk for the trunk that is currently on my E92 M3 right now. Now, the reason for that is not because there's anything wrong with my current trunk, but this trunk very soon will be sacrificed in the name of downforce. aka I'm going to be throwing a big old wing on it. And I didn't want to drill into my factory trunk because obviously that trunk has matching VIN to the rest of the car. And you know, should I ever sell that car, I want it to have matching VINs all around. And so I was able to source this trunk kind of local to me for a pretty good price. It happened to be the same color as my car, which was a bonus. But as you guys saw, it was in need of quite a bit of work, and so I spent a pretty significant amount of time cleaning this up because it needed it. And at this point, the trunk looks, I mean, to me, night and day different. I don't know if it is going to translate very well or if it translated very well over camera, but it had quite a bit of blemishes and flaws and like little scratches and stuff, and I was able to get all of that out, and now it is in a condition that I'm happy to now put on the car. And so I figured if I'm doing it, I might as well at least film a kind of how-to for you guys in case any of you at any point ever need to swap your trunk on your E92 or even your E9X at all. I'm pretty sure the process is mostly the same whether you have an E92, E90, or an E93. So yeah, should be a pretty simple video. I'm going to toss this on, and then in a video coming up very soon, you guys will watch me drill into this trunk and install the wing that I bought for it. If you want to see that, it looks crazy. It looks really good. Maybe if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll put in a little preview. But yeah, if you want to see that, definitely consider subscribing so you don't miss it. But enough rambling at this point. Let's get into actually how to remove the trunk off of your E9X car. Here we go. All right, so like I said in the last clip, I don't know with absolute certainty if the E90s and the E93s are exactly the same layout, but I think with what I'm going to show you here on my car, you should be able to get yours off if you have an E90 or an E93. I'm like 100% positive that this at the very least is like 95% the same as those other cars, if not 100%. So I think you should be able to get yours off if you happen to not have an E92. But anyways, here we are at the trunk. Obviously the first step is to get this trunk lining out. In my case, it's held in by 10 of these little like plastic push clips. I have one right here. Oh yeah, here's one. So to remove these, what you want to do is normally it's like pushed in kind of like that, and you'll get like a flathead or your clip removal tool, and you'll just kind of go in the side here, and then let's see if I could do it. Yeah, pull it till it kind of comes out like this, and then you could pull it out. So super simple. Again, in my case, there's 10 here. I have 8 around the perimeter, and then I have one under here, and then one under here. This is kind of where you can like grab the trunk to close it if you needed to. And so I'm gonna go ahead and take all of those out, and then we're gonna zoom in to the little emergency pull handle right here, because you do also have to take that off before this liner will actually come fully off of the trunk. And it's kind of hard to explain like over talking. I want to show you guys how to do it. And so let me get these off, and then we'll kind of zoom in here, and I'll show you how to take that off before we actually get this liner out of the trunk. Here we go. All right, so like I was saying, to be able to fully take this inner liner out, we do have to remove this right here. All this is for, if you're unfamiliar, essentially if someone were to get locked in the trunk, this is a glow in the dark piece of plastic. It's like a pull tab, and it's connected to the latch. And so if someone was in here, they kind of pull it out like this, pull it down, it would undo the latch and open the trunk, and they can get out. But yeah, it just kind of locks into this like metal, or sorry, it just locks into this plastic tab. If you see at the top, there's like a bigger opening, so it kind of sits in there, goes on there like this, and then you kind of push it forward to lock it in place, and then pull it off to pull it down. But as you can see, there's like a metal cable right here. This is what's connected to the latch. Now to be able to undo this metal cable from this handle, as you can see around the hole right here, there's like these cutouts, and what that allows you to do is kind of push this middle part in, right? So let me see if I could show you. Look at the bottom over here. Ready? See, I could push that out like that, or in, out, whatever, you know what I mean? You push it, and then what you're able to do once you push it in is pull this cable out, because there's basically like a tab right here that makes it so you can't pull this cable out. So let me see if I can do it real quick. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, there's like a little kind of anchor point right here that locks it into this. And then let me bring it a little closer so you can see. Yeah, you push this in, and then you'll have room to pull this little like anchor out here. So now that it's out, I can go ahead and take this liner off, and then we can have access to the wiring down here, start undoing the lights, the latch, and you know, eventually getting this trunk off of the car. All right, so as you can see, we have the trunk liner out, and now what we need to do is fish the wiring harness out and through the trunk and then out of the bottom here. But before we do that, we do have a couple of things we have to disconnect and, you know, take out of the trunk first. We have to take this little cover off right here. We have to obviously unplug the taillights and take the taillights out. We have to unplug the latch and take the latch out. And then there's the license plate lights and then the trunk release button. And so I'm gonna show you guys how to take this little cover off. There's like 4 little tabs on the back side here you have to pry, and then it comes out. You can move it out of the way. And then we will start disconnecting the wires, unclipping them from the trunk, and then we'll feed it through the bottom over there, and then we'll start taking out the components so we can finally get the trunk out of here. All right, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. We're going handheld. Basically, to take this little cover off, this is, you know, we're looking at the trunk like this. So if you go to the back side over here, you can see there's a tab right here, over here, and over here. And to be able to undo them, you kind of just go from the back side over here and pry. There, you see what I'm saying? I can do it with my finger. You don't even need a screwdriver. You just kind of push them in and then pull them out. Push them in, pull them out. And then once you have all of them off, kind of just comes out loose. Obviously, there's still kind of things in the way, but you can kind of move it up and out of the way and then get whatever else you need to get off before finally taking this off. And so really easy. Now we're gonna move on to taking the other components off. All right, now that we have this little panel popped out, we can move on to the tail lights. Now the tail lights are just held on by this little like bracket with a 10mm nut at the end. It kind of just sits in there. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to orient it right with, yeah, so it kind of just sits in there like that. You unscrew it and then it comes out, and then as you could see, the light is like ready to come out. So I already took it off both sides. I am thinking that you probably can't reach your fingers in here and disconnect this until the tail light is actually taken out of the trunk. I was considering leaving the lights in, but it's looking like I'm not gonna have access. So we're gonna have to take these out and then disconnect it from the back side. And then there's not a lot left. I'm gonna take the latch out. There are 3 T27 bolts that hold this latch in. As you can see, I already have it disconnected. And then we can move on to the license plate lights, the trunk release latch from the inside, of course, and then get the wiring harness pulled through the trunk. All right, so as you can see, the wire harness is hanging loose. I did go ahead and disconnect the last couple of connectors. Now the only thing holding this in after you disconnect all the connectors are these little like clips right here. I'll zoom in, you know, when I'm editing, but they just kind of clip into the trunk. You just pry them out and, you know, they come out. There's not like a push mechanism to them like the other clips that hold the liner on. But aside from the harness, the only thing I have to take out now is the last license plate bulb. I did take one out. I'm gonna show you how to take it out. And then I already took out the trunk release switch as well. So regarding the license plate lights, on the back side, let's see once it focuses. On the back side, there's gonna be like a little metal push tab right here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna reach in on, you know, one of these 2 holes. You're gonna reach in and then you're gonna find that tab from the back side and you're gonna push it and then try to push this out of the trunk, basically. So, you know what I mean? Let's see if, yeah, so basically you'll, let me get my hand in here. So you'll push it and then you'll push it out of the trunk, and then it will kind of come out on one side and then you can kind of pry it and pull it out the rest of the way. Now, just a word of caution, if yours hasn't been taken out in a while, there is kind of like a weather seal foam, so like water doesn't get in there, but it caused mine to kind of stick a little bit. So not only do you have to push that tab, but you got to kind of push pretty hard. So just be mindful. Now, regarding the trunk release switch, pretty much the same concept, except instead of metal tabs on the top of the switch, let's see if I can get it to zoom here, or focus here. Yeah, do you see that? One right there and one right there. Those are just 2 little like plastic tabs that from the back side of the trunk, when this is installed in the trunk, you're basically going to get in there and just push them. until they kind of release from the trunk, and then you can pull this out from its little slot. And then when you go to put it back in, you just kind of slide it in, push the top until these like click into the trunk, and then it's ready to go. So hopefully that made sense. It's not super difficult. It's just kind of straining on your fingertips because it's kind of hard to get a tool up there, and obviously you're kind of working around all this paneling, and so or all this bracing rather, and so, you know, there's not a lot of room and you're kind of really fighting it, but it will come out. It's not super difficult. There's nothing other than the little tabs keeping them in. So I'm gonna take that last license plate bulb out that I was telling you guys, and then I'm gonna go ahead and fish this harness through the bottom of the trunk. And then when I have that kind of hanging over here, I can go ahead and loosen or remove the 4 bolts that hold the trunk onto the car, onto the little hinge mechanisms, and then swap over the new one. All right, so I'm officially at the very last step. Like I said in the last clip, I just got to take these 4 bolts out, but I wanted to show you guys that there is a way that BMW designed for like a single person to be able to do this, so that way you don't need another pair of hands. So essentially what you're gonna want to do is take out the bottom bolts on each of the hinge mechanisms, but if you notice at the top, can you kind of see up here how there's this like little cutout right there and right there? So what that's for is all you're going to do is loosen these bolts a little bit. You're not going to fully take them out of the trunk, and then what you're going to be able to do is kind of slide the trunk up off of those hinges and then take it off. And so when you go to install it, again, it'll be just you, right? If you don't have a second pair of hands, you'll keep the bolt like screwed into the trunk, obviously not super tight, otherwise it won't fit over this, but then you'll basically just put the trunk on and slide it down into those little grooves, and then, you know, obviously line up the bottom bolt and you should be good to go. So pretty cool that they designed it that way. I'm gonna go ahead and take the trunk off, and then you know, pretty much call this job wrapped up. All right, really quick, I'm actually currently in the process of editing this video right here, but I wanted to make this clip to remind you guys because I forgot to do it out there when I was working on the car. But please, please, please remember to plug in the trunk latch switch before you close your trunk, because if you don't plug that in and you don't open the rear seats beforehand, if your car has that, then I'm not sure how you would actually open the trunk up. If your E9X comes with the little key slot, not all of them do, my M3 does not, then I think you can open it that way. I think you're able to kind of use the key to, you know, open the trunk. But if yours doesn't have that, make sure you plug in that switch before you close the trunk once everything's said and done, because like I said, if you forget, I am not sure how you get the trunk open at that point. So here's your reminder, here's your caution. Now back to the video. All right, there you have it. The trunk is now on the E92 M3. It looks really good. Fitment is as good as OEM, you know what I'm saying? And I couldn't be more stoked to have it on finally. I spent quite a bit of time repairing the paint on that trunk and just doing a ton of work to, you know, wet sand it and clay bar it and polish it and stuff. And so I'm happy it's all done. I'm happy it's on the car, because now we could finally focus on the fun thing, which is, you know, installing the wing, which I did tell you earlier. If you stuck around to the end of the video, I'd show you a little teaser of that. So that'll be after this clip here. But yeah, super stoked. You know, you couldn't even tell the difference, to be honest, other than the fact that the trunk that's on the E92 M3 now doesn't have an M3 badge. So I'm gonna have to, you know, get one of those. But other than that, there's a few little blemishes that the OEM trunk, you know, my M3 trunk didn't have. Specifically around where the trunk lip would have been. That trunk came with a trunk lip at some point, and it discolored the paint a little bit. So I'm gonna have to figure something out for that. If you look real close back there, I think maybe you could see what we got going on, but that'll be the attempted fix, at least fix number 1. If that doesn't end up working out, I'll explain that in another video. But yeah, stoked to have it done. As usual, I do appreciate you checking out this video. If you happen to check this video out because you wanted to know how to swap your trunk on your E9X, hopefully you bared with me in the beginning when I tried to make this video vibey. You know, I try to do that a lot here. But anyways, like I said, I appreciate you checking it out. I'd appreciate if you did all of the things. Consider liking this video, commenting on it if you have any comments you want to share. Consider subscribing so you don't miss the wing install in a very near future video, and of course consider turning on post notifications so you don't miss that video. But like I said, as usual, I appreciate you checking it out. Thank you for watching, and I will catch all of you guys in the next video. Peace.